I'm Chris Lee of Southeastern 14, presented by Bearded Iris, doing NCAA baseball tournament regional projections. Yeah, we're going to tell you where I've got teams going this week. And so let's get right down to it. The SEC is going to have 10 teams in the field. I'll go a little bit through the SEC teams and maybe some bubble teams and some interesting things. But right off the top, I've paired the regionals. I've got Wake Forest as the number 1 overall seed with LSU as the 2. I've got Boston College as the 16 matching up with Wake. A lot of people don't have BC as a host this week, but it's 13 and 11 in the ACC. It's got that regional balance. It's got a good RPI. So we'll see how that holds up. And in Wake's regional, Indiana State is going to be a team that's got a good RPI. Not quite sure if it's as good as the RPI suggests it is. So if you're wondering about that there, about Indiana State being a 2, I think as you dig in, you'll see the Sycamores are probably not likely to be hosting, and that is a good 2 according to RPI, but I'm not sure it's as good as the RPI thinks it is. So anyway, moving down, you're looking to your left, Baton Rouge. LSU, no surprise, is going to be hosting. I think LSU could be either the number 1 or number 2 national seed this week. That will sort its way out. I've got Virginia Tech playing in Baton Rouge. And a lot of people don't have Virginia Tech in the regional this week. I've got Tech in. The ACC is a very interesting conference, as is the Big 12 in terms of bubble teams. And frankly, a lot of it's just going to be who plays out and has a winning record in the conference or is close. To the right, I've got Texas A&M going to Stillwater. Oklahoma State is another team that's a bubble host right now. Oregon State, a team that would be a really good 2 in that regional that could wind up hosting. A&M right now, I think a solid 3, but boy, you need to do some work with that 9-12 SEC record. You certainly don't want to drop more than maybe 3 games under 500 in the league, or else you could find yourself in trouble. But right now, I think A&M is probably in as a 3. All right, let's move down the screen a little bit. You'll see the Nashville Regional pop up next. Now, I had trouble with this one. Originally, I had Louisville going to Nashville as the 2 seed. Some people don't even have Louisville in their brackets right now. I think Louisville good enough to go, but Louisville is having fits in terms of playing on the road. It is 4-8, and it's got road trips coming up to Clemson and Virginia in 2 of its last 3 series. So I'm going to have Louisville in the bracket later. You'll see where, but that's a one that I'm a little troubled by. So originally I had Louisville as a 2. I moved them down to a 3 and put Notre Dame from the ACC into Nashville's regional. Iowa, a team in there with a strange resume. I do not understand how the RPI adds up to 38 given that schedule, but it does. And I think a Big Ten team in the top 40 of the RPI with the winning record in the league is going to get in. So Iowa's one to watch. But anyway, Vanderbilt is the number 3 national seed according to what I have this week. To the right, it would be matched up with the winner of the Dallas regional. That's Dallas Baptist. I've got Indiana, UCLA in there. Dallas Baptist, a team that is really got good computer numbers, but hasn't played a lot of great teams, so it's not banked great wins, but that top, I think, 12 RPI or whatever it is, probably got Dallas Baptist in line to host. I've got South Carolina as the 4 seed this week. Now, that regional I've got Carolina in would be a tough one. I think Clemson is in RPI position to host, but one above the 500 mark in the conference. Clemson's not going to host right now, but you could see Clemson move its way into hosting territory with some good work between now and then. But right now I've got Clemson as a 2 heading to Columbia to play the Gamecocks. I've got UC Irvine, another team that's a tough team. That would be a really brutally tough draw for South Carolina if this materializes, which of course it probably won't. But in any case, that's the way I've got it drawn up in Columbia. To the right, I've got Tennessee going down to Coral Gables. Now, the Vols, another team with a chance to make their way into the hosting mix. Tennessee right now, I think now a top 25 RPI or close to it. Tennessee's problem is that road record. The Vols 1-9 on the road. They're going to head to Athens this weekend. If Tennessee can start winning some road games and say somehow win 6 of the last 9, get to 17-13, I think you will see the Vols host. But again, 2 of the last 3 series on the road, and 1 being in Columbia, South Carolina. The Vols are going to have to start winning some road games, but they will have a chance to move up. Okay, move on down. You'll see Fayetteville Arkansas, the number 5 seed nationally this week. This would be an interesting regional with future Big 12 or future SEC team Texas getting cast there. UTSA, which is in San Antonio, so that's a regional, along with Oral Roberts, that those teams all within driving distance, which is, you follow the NCAA baseball, you know that they put a premium on closeness. So tried to get that right there in terms of geography, and that is how I came up with Arkansas's pairing. To the right, I've got Kentucky now moved down to the 2 line. The Cats 11-10 in the SEC, RPI of 4. I just don't see Kentucky at this point, and I try not to project ahead, but just going to be hard to see Kentucky hosting. Look, if the Cats win out, get to 16, 17 SEC wins, Kentucky's going to be hosting, I think, because of that RPI. But it is starting to look grim for the Wildcats after being swept 2 of 3 in Nashville here this weekend. I've got Maryland, a team that is atop the Big Ten, heading to Morgantown. Again, that's geography. And speaking of Nashville, our channel is sponsored by our friends at the Bearded Iris Brewing Company. It is Nashville's home for a beer that is unapologetically itself, memorably composed and fun to drink. They offer a wide variety of hop-focused offerings like IPAs and DIPAs, as well as select fruited sours, stouts, and a new hard seltzer. So anyway, go visit our buddies at Bearded Iris Brewing Company and tell them you heard about the channel on Southeastern 14. Okay, moving on down, Duke has moved into the top 8 seed picture. That's a team that not only does the RPI love, but the other computers that are more results-based and margin of victory-based also see Duke is that caliber of team. I've got Auburn as a 3 seed, really, really good resume. If Auburn's pitching could just win it just enough games and say get to 13 or 14 wins, and Auburn's got 9, I think you will see Auburn in a regional. It got a series win over Indiana outside the league and has won some good games in the league, including winning 2 of 3 at South Carolina. So Auburn, I think, in the field is a 3, and I don't think most people would argue that as of today. I've got the Durham Regional paired with Eugene. I've stuck Fullerton out there because of geography. Kansas State, I think one of the last 1 or 2 teams that I had in my field this week, I've sent Kansas State to Eugene. I believe the Wildcats are 11-7 in the Big 12, but not a great RPI. So that's one to watch, a team that could move off the bubble. Moving down to Gainesville, I've got Florida hosting Arizona State and Troy. Troy, a team that could be a 2 seed based on RPI, but it's just 11-10 in the Sun Belt. Arizona State, a team I think that is atop the Pac-12 or close to it, but the resume when you dig into the wins isn't great. But I still think the Sun Devils are a good team. I've got in Charlottesville paired with Gainesville. Virginia's really started to fall down the seed list with some recent series losses. I've got Alabama as a 2 going to Charlottesville. Frankly, that's probably a little bit high. Alabama may be more like a 3 seed right now, and a tough series coming up with Vandy. So that might be a spot if you want to pick a bone with me in terms of putting Alabama as a 2. I get it, but Alabama, I think, also has got a 21 RPI. So that's something to watch. Texas Tech, another team that kind of slips into the field as a 3. It's going to be how Tech finishes in terms of winning and losing in the conference. And again, the Big 12 is just crazy. Finally, we go to the bottom where I've got Conway and Palo Alto matched up. I've stuck Louisville in there again as a 3. That's going to be one where the Cardinals, I think, are good enough, but going to need to win some games. North Carolina has slipped back into the bracket this week after a lot of people had the Tar Heels out. Coastal Carolina and Palo Alto paired up there in that regional. Okay, we will continue to do this every week. Some teams that just didn't make it that I had on my bubble. Let's see. We've got, I believe, Texas State was a bubble team, Oklahoma a bubble team, North Carolina State a team to watch if it can get to 500 in the ACC or close. TCU a weird team, Xavier good RPI team, but probably not host worthy. If Georgia Tech can get hot, if Georgia can get hot. Georgia's got a great RPI, but it's 8-13 in the league. If Georgia can just get to, say, 13 wins, I think you'll see the Bulldogs in the field. All right, I'm Chris Lee for Southeastern 14, presented by Bearded Iris. We appreciate you watching. Give us a like, give us a subscribe if you don't mind, and we will see you again soon.